What's the matter?
I'm pretty sure you just went blah, 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 and then here we are.
How'd I go?
Blah, 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 blah. Hey everybody, we are out and about here at Pints and Pies, brand new Pints and Pies.
Yep.
In Bethlehem, which is very cool. Moravian right behind us, university right there.
Yeah, this is the if you're familiar with the original Pints and Pies, come here, check out you're gonna love the same great menu. And second building. This is great. This is nice. I've only been open a couple of weeks, so here we go.
Awesome. Happy to be here today. Wish the conversation was a little bit better. It is the Cat Country 96 Birds Recap. It is brought to you by Miller Lite, the official beer sponsor of the Philadelphia Eagles. Sam Malone, Kevin Crockett. So the first thing you said to me when we walked in today, and in radio, as you and I both know, there's a saying that says, save it for the air.
Save it for the air.
Save it for the air. And the first question you had for me was, are you in panic mode
Correct.
yet? So I'm going to turn to you and flip the script. Sam Malone, you in panic mode yet?
Almost. If there was a button here, I would literally be like this close to the button, not pushing it yet. I want to see what happens on Monday night in Seattle. I think that's going to be a very interesting game. I think it's a game, obviously both teams have to win. So I think the Eagles have to win it more, I think, than the Seahawks at this point. I'm not sure, but I think it's going to be interesting how they come out, because the last thing you want, I think if we lose this game, we kind of lose the season in terms of players will be bickering and things like this. Not that they won't make the playoffs, but this game to me is a real big one. They got to come out and play both sides. If they don't, then that button will be hit in a panic mode.
Well, you mentioned kind of what's the feeling in the locker room right now, and you don't get a sense of like that it's a very positive vibe in there right now. When Jason Kelce comes out and says like there's kind of a stink in the air, there were reports that perhaps some players are a little frustrated with some coaches at this point.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know that I'm ready. In my opinion, it feels like everything that has gone wrong in the last couple of games is correctable. You fumble a ball inside the 20-yard line against Dallas. I mean, Devontae Smith has a couple balls hit him in the hands that feels like he's going to catch all the time. A.J. Brown has one hit him in the hands. It's interesting. I think my frustration lies in the offensive side of the ball, because the defense kind of all year long has been having to kind of piece it together. Now, that doesn't take away from what else they could have done in the offseason if they set themselves up in the best way they could going into this season. I give Sean Desai a little bit more of a bit of wiggle room than I do the offensive side of the ball in that case, because this offense has Jalen Hurts, and it has Devontae Smith, and it has A.J. Brown, and it has DeAndre Swift, and it has Dallas Goedert, go on and on and on and on. And oh, by the way, what's supposed to be the best offensive line in football, and man, they just feel like they're stuck in mud a lot this season.
That's a great way to put it. There's something that's missing. There's something that's not triggering, whether it be the first drive or the fifth drive or whatever. One of the reports that one of the players anonymously today came out and said it's taking us forever to run routes, the offensive receivers, and it's taking them long. And I think that he said something like, you look at Dallas and how quick Dallas was to run their routes and get their routes rolling. It just, for whatever reason, it's taking the Eagles longer. That's coming from an anonymous bird. So I don't, they have to do something. But as soon as that offense gets going, the defense will be fine. The offense needs to get back to that ball control the clock, start running. You have two good runs with a running back. Don't cut off the run. Keep it rolling. If that's the way that's going to, even give your defense a little bit rest. I think the best way to cure that defense is to cure that offense. That's something that needs to happen like 2 weeks ago.
I think my frustration lies on the defensive side of the ball, the defensive line, and you can only do so much. And quarterbacks are getting the ball. The template's been there all season for what to do the Eagles. It's get the ball out as quick as you can against them. The question then lies in, in that back seven, are you either A, being too aggressive, sending blitzes when perhaps you feel like maybe the pieces you have on that back end aren't as strong to be put in big zones or in a man-to-man situation because you're leaving such voids by sending a blitz? Or the flip side, which seems to be where I think I come from after watching some of these games, is be more aggressive.
I agree.
You sit off of wide receivers. You give guys this amount of space. So if you're playing off of wide receivers and quarterbacks are having 2 seconds till they get rid of the football, of course they're going to sit there and slice and dice you. So you better be able to tackle it. You didn't do it against San Francisco.
Right.
You better be able to cover. You didn't do it against Dallas. So what you kind of have to To me, it feels like you literally have to go back into basic packages, play guys at the line of scrimmage, hope that your front four gets a little better, and sit with 7 in coverage, because I would rather get, I use this phrase all the time, is death by 1,000 cuts. I'd rather you run the football, beat us that way, win on third down. That's what teams are daring the Eagles to do.
Yeah,
they're daring the Eagles to do it, and teams are having success.
Yeah.
The Eagles, on the flip side, are giving up huge play after huge play after huge play. And when your offense isn't able to stay on the field and get your defense rest one, or at the very least match those big plays by the other team, you're getting the results that you're going to get. And it's been brutal to watch.
I don't know what it is about going back to, getting off the field on third down. Is it more, I don't know if this is it or not, but is it a mental thing at this point as well? Look, it could be 3rd and 1 and you know that it's a first down, and it could be 3rd and 9 and you know it's a first down. I don't know if this is coming from my side of it.
Sure.
I mean, does it get in their head as well? Or does it go back to, guys, they got to be more, and I see even like 3rd and how deep they're playing on a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. They're playing really deep off the wide receiver. Play more aggressive. If you're going to get, here's what I think. If you're going to get burned, you're going to get burned. But that next play, if you add some pressure on the quarterback and you knock him around a couple times, but you got burned on that play, at least the quarterback knows that there's going to be some heat.
So I think
for that next drive.
I think that's where I go with put pressure on wide receivers, because if you can shake a quarter, listen, it's a word that they keep using when they're talking about the Eagles in these broadcasts is rhythm. Jalen Hurts finding a rhythm. Can Jalen Hurts find a rhythm? Can he get into a, and all these other quarterbacks are able to sit back, assess. So go up, to your point, play man-to-man, and try to get a pass rush that way. Try to get forward, because then what teams were starting to do, particularly San Francisco, and again, San Francisco has a great run game. They have Christian McCaffrey. They have all those things. When you went 5 down linemen, they were still able to run the ball.
Right.
So you at some point have to pick your poison. You have to bet on this well-paid veteran defensive line, or this kind of, listen, you need more out of your cornerbacks. You paid your cornerbacks really well. Your safeties and your linebackers, you're getting what you paid for in that situation. Put a bet on one of them. Either bet that your corners can make the coverage back there, which they've shown that in these zone situations, there's so much grass for people to cover. They're not making tackles. So what does that say to me? Get up, play man-to-man defense, be more aggressive on the back end to try to give your defensive line more of a chance to generate pressure. And if pressure bust pipes, man, if you can start getting pressure on quarterbacks, which is something that they just have not been able to do consistently all year. That was the difference in the team last year. You force mistakes that way. They get a sack. Fletcher Cox, the only touchdown they scored this game was a defensive touchdown. So you see the effect that the defense can have when they're able to get that pressure. But again, I give, not that I give a pass, but the defensive side of the ball to me is hope for the best, expect okay. The offense to me is where it's an enigma right now. It just gets so stagnant for stretches of time. It's almost inexcusable at this point.
So you look at, and they brought back Dallas Goedert. It's his first game in a month. And he still had 4 or 5 receptions, probably had a little bit of a time to get back into his rhythm, I'm sure. See, I'm just trying to find some excuses for what happened. That's all I'm trying to do. So you look at the Dallas Goedert situation. All right. And then you look at, I can't find anything else. That's the problem. That's the problem of the whole rhythm. Like there's no excuses.
So first of all, like we've said before, they tried to run the football a little bit in that game. All of a sudden, Dallas gets way ahead. You get one-dimensional. You have to do those things. But what are the chances that in a game, Devontae has the drops that he has, that they both have the fumbles that they have, that Jalen has the fumble that he has? For all those things to happen in one game was just kind of this. It just felt like all of the boiling that was happening from San Francisco finally boiled over in Dallas, and you hope that there is just a clean slate. So as an offense, what can you do to kind of make these things happen? There's a lot of people that are still continuing to say, run the football, which I'm never going to disagree with, because I think that gets your offensive line
It does,
going
but
a little bit.
it does have to get the line well, but that's not the Eagles style. We say it every week, run the football. They do need to run the football. But I think the Eagles are a passing team. And I agree with running the ball, but what do they do best? Yeah, okay, we'll have a couple of runs. DeAndre will pull off an 8-run. Swift will get a nice 8-yard run, another 4-yard run, and then they stop it right there. For some reason, they give up on it after he doesn't have an 8 or 9-yard run. maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but I think, you know what I'm saying. But they are a passing team. They have 2 top wide receivers in football. They have a top 5 tight end in football. They have a great offensive line that could run or pass block, but I think what they do best is pass the ball, and that's getting Jalen in the rhythm and the wide receivers getting off the initial contact, and that's what they have to do.
So I'm going to disagree with you to a point, because I think there's different ways. Yes, I agree. This is a passing league.
Right.
There's not many teams that are going to, the Titans went to an AFC championship game a couple seasons ago because Derrick Henry put them on his back and carried them.
I remember that.
It's just not that kind of football anymore.
Right.
But what you can do is scheme ways to get your guys open. What the running game does is, first things first, if you can get a ground game going immediately,
awesome.
that means linebackers, safeties, they have to hold for 1 second.
Yeah, right.
That 1 second is such a difference. You're not doing anything to make them be anything but aggressive and dictate to you what you need to do on these plays. Okay, so if you're not establishing a ground game, if I'm setting my ways defensively, and I know that you're a passing team, I'll say, okay, well, they're not running the football well enough anyway. They're not willing to commit to it a long time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit here and watch what Jalen Hurts does. The next thing that you do is,
I see your point.
There's a lot of talk about what goes on with motion and how motion can help you dictate whether it's man or zone or give your quarterback an extra second. There's the argument that Jalen wants to see the whole field in a clear picture before he snaps the ball. Fine. You still have to find ways to look. If what you're not getting is, it can't be all of these things at once. It can't be, well, we're not scheming up enough situations to get guys open. Okay, so you change the scheme. Okay, well, we've changed the scheme, but guys still aren't getting open. Okay, so then those guys need to do a better job of getting open. What's a good way that you can do that? Motion, move, do different things.
Right.
Get a guy like Devontae Smith in space with his head, a little bit of a head of steam to let him go out. That is a dangerous element, going from having a guy standing still and thinking about him beating you to a guy that's in motion, making the defense move, making the defense off. I will come back to one of the great motion plays that they had. They went in motion on that game-winning touchdown against Buffalo, and watch how Buffalo's defense went haywire off to that right edge, and Jalen took the draw play and went right into the end zone.
That's right.
Because you set that stuff up all game long. You set it up. I go back to A.J. Brown. You want to talk about the passing game. Everybody wants to say all A.J. Brown runs is those inside cuts. Go back to the Washington game where they're faking a bubble screen at Dallas Goedert, and they're having A.J. Brown go out and set an edge. Because you're setting those plays up. You do things to set up success. So run the football. Let them see you keep running. Let them see the guards pull. Let them see Jason Kelsey pull. Let them see all those things. And then pull the ball back, block it up, and have a chance to throw the football down the field.
Why do you think the Eagles went away from that the past couple games?
I think because they've gotten down so much. You get down so much, you're not fooling anybody with play. You're wasting your own time in play action.
But even in Series 1 if they get down 7-0, they can still keep that style up in the first or second offensive drives.
But they got up. They were up 6-0 on the 49ers and go. Well, I don't even know what it was the next time they scored a point. 49ers roll off a bunch of points.
That one,
I feel like you have to play catch up because they can now dictate to your defense what their offense is. They can do anything they want because they get up. You go into this game. Dallas scores on that first drive. The Eagles put together a great drive, mix of run and pass, get down the field. You fumble the football at the 20-yard line, and Dallas does their thing again. Like, you just can't get in. You're already a team that's been deemed predictable by defense.
True. Okay.
Now you're giving those defenses a lead, and you're even more predictable because they know you have to get big chunk plays to try to catch up because the clock is against you as well.
Do you think that this has nothing to do with the style of the offense that we're talking about, but do you think that the first fumble from Jalen Hurts kind of changed the offensive tone for the Eagles, even though they were only down 7-0?
I think it took the air out of the balloon.
I think it took the air
out of the balloon.
That's
on both sides
thought.
of the ball.
Yep.
I think it took the air out of the balloon.
Yeah.
And because when you're, man, it's just been a problem all year. Turnovers have been a problem all year. And you find that your defense finally makes a play for you. They finally get a turnover. They turn that into 7 points, and you can only come up with 6.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest problem to me. It's the Cat Country 96 Birds Recap. It is brought to you by Miller Lite, the official beer sponsor of the Philadelphia Eagles, and by our friends at Banko Beverage Company.
Do you know we only scored 3 more points more than the Vikings? As Barry Dawson says he's sorry. Think about it.
Our guy Barry is checking in. He's a Vikings fan. That game was 3-0.
I can't believe it.
I know 2 people that were in Vegas for that game.
Oh, yeah?
And every time they would show the highlights, I just thought, what a miserable game to pick to go to Vegas. I mean, I get it. You're in Vegas, but
Yeah.
So now, okay, so we got to look forward a little bit.
We have
because
to.
Now
We have to.
things are a bit greatest game ever, he says. Things are a
great.
bit tricky at this point. So the scenarios are this. If Dallas, San Francisco, and Philadelphia win out, San Francisco gets the number 1 seed. Eagles still win the division. They would be the 2 seed.
Right.
And host a playoff game wild card week.
It'd be nice. They clinched, by the way, San Francisco. So
But-
they're the first clinching team.
Right. But now, if you thought all everybody's been saying is, okay, well, let's just get past that stretch. Seattle's got absolutely something to play for.
Sure they do.
They're in the mix. The Giants with a win last night over Green Bay, who's another wild card team. They're not dead yet.
No,
so
they're not.
Going to have plenty to play
Absolutely.
for. Arizona, you don't think that Jonathan Gannon wants to beat the Philadelphia
Sure he does.
Eagles in that game?
Yep.
Oh, by the way, that game against New York might really, really, really matter for both of you at the end of the season.
Might be flexed for all we know. Could be flexed.
So I'll ask you this because
Yeah.
there's some interesting scenarios out there that could be fascinating. So if you get that 1 seed,
Right.
chances are San Francisco gets the 2 because obviously the Cowboys, either the Eagles or the Cowboys are going to be the 1 or the 2.
Right. Agree.
There's a scenario out there that says, okay, well, if San Francisco gets the 1 seed and you're the Eagles
Mhm.
and you get the 2, you have to. The big thing to me is win the division. At this point, win the division, get the 2 seed. Okay,
That's fine.
you win the division, you host a playoff game. That's Minnesota. That's Green Bay. That's New York.
Mhm.
That's somebody in that ilk.
Right.
The next round, you would get the Detroit Lions or whoever beats the Detroit Lions in that round. And Dallas and San Francisco then have to play in round 2. So you could
Okay.
have the bye week and play either Dallas or San Francisco. And then in the NFC Championship, most likely play either Dallas or San Francisco
yeah.
again. Or you could take the 2 seed, have to play an extra game at home,